Truth, that is Paramarthik. Then there is truth, that is Vyavharik. And then the lowest one, Pratibhasik. The correspondence is perfect. Paramarthik, Atma. Vyavharik, Prakriti. Pratibhasik, Ahankar. We believe that in the field of Prakriti, there exist entities with independent centers, right? No. No wave has an independent center. Is there any wave independent of the ocean? Does the wave have any sovereignty at all? Then why do we believe that in the vast network of Prakriti, you or I are sovereign? Is even a droplet sovereign? Nothing is sovereign. But that is the cause of our grief. We think that this was independent and now it is gone. Independence means existence, independent existence. And existence can be called an existence only if it is independent. Otherwise, it appears to exist. It does not really. So we think it was independent. It was not independent. It rose and fell. It was part of a process. Getting it? That is what is being conveyed to Arjun. Not sure whether Arjun grasped it, but what is certain is that over the centuries, most of the readers of the Gita have not grasped that. Most misunderstood verses. In fact, the Hindi translation bears testimony to the misinterpretation. If you look at verse 27, it says, Mrit Vyakti ka punarjan avashya hota hai. He is not talking of Mrit Vyakti ka punarjan. Look at what the verse says. Verse nowhere mentions Vyakti. But the translator brought his little self into the verse. Right. Verse 26 is about Prakriti, that which takes constant birth and dies constantly. Verse 27 is again about stuff in Prakriti. Verse 27 is an extension of verse 26. Nothing has gone anywhere. You are just the body. The body is still here. What can you do to the body? There is all this, you burn all this, and if you do that in a closed system and are able to account for all the residues and products, you take them together, weigh them, add the results, and what you get is exactly the weight of your body. The body has not gone anywhere. It's just that those molecules are no longer in a particular configuration. That configuration was everything. People say the freshly dead body is exactly like the one alive. So what is the difference? They posit that surely there was something within the body that is no more there, and that's why the fellow has fallen dead. Their assertion is that at the physical level, everything is just the same. No, everything is not just the same. Something has changed. If everything is just the same, the fellow would still be alive. It's just that the thing that has changed is subtle. And by subtle, I do not mean mystical. It is as subtle as an electronic circuit. As a technology on a microchip. Subtler than that. Therefore, it is difficult to really gather what has changed in the dead body. But surely what has changed is something material, nothing mystical. And more, as man and science have been able to understand what causes death, more and more man has been able to avert or delay death. It is material medicine that has led to postponement of death, right? There is nothing mystical about death. Nothing otherworldly flies out of the body in the moment of death. Here is a machine. The machine works in a particular way. When that way is interrupted, the machine stops functioning. That's all that there is. And that's not what I'm saying. That's what Sri Krishna is saying. Consciousness is material. What you call as consciousness is part of Prakriti. It does not belong to any other world. I have repeatedly asked you to attend to the fact Sri Krishna calls consciousness or Chetana as part of Prakriti, which means part of body. But because it is subtler, so he says Jad Padarth, body, can be called as Apara Prakriti and Chetana can be called as Para Prakriti. Nevertheless, both are Prakriti. Every unit of material has consciousness of its own kind. And you will never find any conscious being without a body. Which means the body and the consciousness always go together. There is nothing called a disembodied being having consciousness. But if you separate consciousness and body, you get a lot of superstition. If consciousness can exist without a body, then you can have all kinds of ghosts and phantoms and whatnot. What is the ghost paradigm? That there can be consciousness without a body? No, sir, no. The Gita does not sanction that. If you understand Gita, you will have to discount ghosts or disembodied beings. There can be no consciousness sans a body, and there can be no body sans consciousness. The iron molecule knows that it must be attracted to the magnet. This is consciousness, albeit of the most primitive kind. Primitive, but not absent. You take an amoeba, protozoa or something. It is life of a primitive kind, but nevertheless, it is life. Similarly, the electron, knowing fully well that it needs to constantly circle the nucleus, otherwise it would be sucked in, absorbed. Belief that it exists, and that's what liberation is. Liberation is to make the need for liberation unnecessary. You cry for liberation only as long as you think that you are. I exist, so I want to be liberated. When you learn that you don't exist, it would be absurd to ask for liberation, right? That's what liberation is. To no more ask for liberation. Freedom from freedom. The final freedom. Liberation from liberation. Utter liberation. I do not exist to be liberated. Even to say that I want liberation is to assert belief in my existence. And if I assert that belief, it's certain that I am not liberated. So if I ask for liberation, I will remain in bondage. What is bondage? False belief. False belief in what? Myself, that I am. I am not. I am not. The body is. The body is Arjun, and the body will not die. Stop crying. The body is, and the body will not die. No body can ever die. All the bodies over the last 20 million years that ever died, they are present in your form here right now. Where do you think your body is coming from? Your body is nothing but all the bodies that ever existed. So how is the body dying? The body is not dying, the body is just flowing like a river. Sometimes it looks like this, sometimes it looks like that. Even in your lifetime, the body does not look any one particular way. It keeps changing, right? I wasn't born with a beard. I wasn't born bald. The body has kept changing, and the body will keep changing even after you are buried or cremated. It's the prakriti of the body to just keep changing. Therefore, death is no specific event. The body has anyway kept changing. Arjun is hesitant. The whole dilemma is born out of false belief. Right? Sri Krishna is teaching dharma to Arjun. What is dharma? Dharma proceeds from both. Only when you know can you rightly live. Therefore, Sri Krishna is instructing Arjun in the very essentials of being. If you do not know who you are, how will you know what to do? Why must Arjun fight? All this is so lit. But why is Arjun being told to fight? All suffering comes from ignorance. Right? And if an ignorant person gets to have power over millions of people, then there is a huge chance that there would be rampant ignorance, that the king's actions and policies and the personal example he sets will all lead to widespread ignorance. It is human suffering that Sri Krishna seeks to fight. And if Duryodhan ascends to the throne, that suffering is likely to multiply, because suffering comes from ignorance. Duryodhan is himself so very ignorant. Think of the effect he will have on the general population. And that is the only reason the war must happen. Arjun does not understand why Duryodhan must become the king. Arjun thinks that the war is being fought for personal gains. Therefore, he tells Arjun, Sri Krishna, I do not want the throne. It's not at all about earning riches or the throne or power for yourself. The war is about something else. But what is the war really about? That needs to be conveyed to Arjun, and that's what the Bhagavad Gita all about. The right function of the king is to take the population from ignorance to illumination. And it is such an important function, which can be understood only if one appreciates the importance of illumination itself. Arjun does not understand that. Arjun does not know the importance of truth. If Arjun can be brought to a point where he sees the utter importance of truth and the non-importance and the non-existence of everything else, only then will Arjun understand why to fight. Otherwise, the war is about Duryodhan getting the throne versus Yudhishthir or the Pandavas getting the throne. I relinquish, I abdicate. Don't want the throne. It's not for yourself that you must fight, Arjun. You must fight the root cause of all human misery, which is ignorance, avidya. Duryodhan at the hem would mean avidya itself at the hem. We are not talking of a democracy. These were monarchies, autocracies. The king held absolute sway, unlimited power over the populace. Think of the havoc that a king could wreak. Had no awareness. But for Arjun to fight such a bad contender to the throne, first of all, Arjun must have some self-awareness. Therefore, the Gita. Arjun, please understand what is most important in life, and then see that that which is most important in life is nowhere present in Duryodhana. Then you will know why to fight. The absolute, the one with the highest value, must first be appreciated by Arjun. Only then he will see that the absolute is not at all valued or favored by Duryodhana. And then he will fight for the sake of the population, not for the sake of personal glory or attainment. Just as Arjun is in grief because of attachment and so many other things that are born out of false ego, the entire population will be in grief. Where does grief come from? The ego thinking too much of itself, right? And Arjun can first hand experience it. I don't have realization, so see how badly am I suffering. And the same kind of suffering multiplied many times over awaits the entire kingdom.